great to circle up. Good to have everyone here. Obviously, we're here for a pretty special day for a great group of young men that have put pen to paper, or I guess done their electronic Adobe signatures. Now that's how this thing rolls. We no longer circle around the FedEx or fax machine. But before we get to that, I'd be remiss if I didn't say a few things about the season and obviously how special that was, and obviously with an opportunity still, we're waiting to figure out what we're going to play. The next opportunity to go get win number 10. Just incredibly proud of the players, incredibly proud of the staff, incredibly proud of the work that everyone did, putting all this together, and the work that was done day in and day out. Can't thank the community enough for their support and the way that they encouraged us, supported us, competed with us, and can't wait for them to continue to elevate with us as we go forward into the future and pack Snapdragon Stadium and create an environment that is a true competitive advantage for us each and every single time we step on that field. The very, very proud of the work that our kids did and the way that they were resilient and the way that they responded week in and week out. Obviously, we came up a little bit short. We need to play better. I need to coach better. We need to, learn how to win in those championship moments, and that's part of building a championship program. But extremely, extremely proud of all that we have done, all that we have accomplished, and eagerly awaiting where the next opportunity is to go get a double-digit win. And there's going to be very few teams in the country that are going to be able to say that, and excited to see where then ultimately, everything settles in where we can kind of, put a bow on this season, and eager to do the work over the next 7 weeks to reconstruct the roster as we go forward into the future, because the talent acquisition process is the bloodline to our program, to this championship program that we are building. That starts today with the high school signees. As we sit here right now, we have 10 offensive signees in. We have 11 defensive signees in. I'm eagerly awaiting some more information here that should be coming hopefully within the next half hour, if not sooner. And we'll see where that goes, but I think it's going to be good for the Aztecs as we continue to trend. But a tremendous group of young men. It's our highest rated class that we have put together. It's our first Pac-12 class, right? And so that's exciting with the future and the direction of the program. We beat out multiple Power 4 programs for a lot of our signees. The majority of these players held other offers, from our future conference foes. So winning head-to-head recruiting battles is crucial. 12 of these signees will be mid-year enrollees. 17 of them played multi-sports, which is huge for us. And then, it's going to be, when all said and done, again, if a couple of these last few loose ends that we're trying to tie up go the right way, we should be a top 60 class in the country, ahead of other Power 4 institutions as we continue to elevate and to get our program to that level consistently year in and year out, not just to compete with those teams and be happy to share in the field, but as we showed this year against Cal, have dominant victories against them as we go forward. So it's a strong class, numerous state championships. We still have one signee in Tainoa Olave, who's going to be competing for another state championship this weekend, which is great. It's the highest cumulative GPA of a class that we have signed. They're tremendous leaders in their communities, men of great character, and guys, as I know that we talk more about them as they make their way to the Mesa and our community gets to know them, not just as players, but as young men, that they'll fall in love with them the same way that we have as well. So, apologize for being long-winded. Where do you guys want to take the conversation?
How did the momentum of this year's season shape the conversations you have with the signees compared to like a year ago?
Yeah, it was huge, right? The first couple signing classes from when we first got hired, and then a year ago, right? We're talking about a vision and a belief for something that we're going to create, and now we have a proof of concept, right? There's evidence that our process works, and that's a big deal, right? To high school kids, if they're entrusting you to their career and all the work and all the sacrifice that they've put into it, right? They want to see some evidence, right? It's one thing to talk about hope, but it's something completely different to have, again, that proof of concept, that evidence, and to be able to show them, our tape and how it's successful and the role that they're going to, fill, and then the developmental plan that we have for them, not just as a player, but as a young man, and the opportunities that we have here in our city that are very, very unique when it comes to networking and internships and all the other things that help round out a young man during this time in his life.
What do you look for in specifics in multi-sport athletes? What do you find in IEPs?
Yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, overall athleticism, right? Like, you want guys that are traded up. You want guys with size, length, speed, horsepower, that you can then, as a coach, right, develop and train. You want guys that have a lot of those abilities across multiple arenas, and if you're a competitive dude, you're going to find ways to step into the competitive arena, whether it's the gridiron in the fall, it's the wrestling mat, or it's the rugby field, or it's the basketball arena, and whether it's the track, whether it's baseball. Like, you're going to be hyper competitive and you want to compete year round, so that's important for us.
Question on two of the unique kids out of Texas. Can you comment on the wide receiver Stevenson and the running back Lucas?
Yeah, I mean, Derek was a guy that we identified early on. Has a lot of position flexibility where he can play inside, he can play outside. Believe he finished third in the state in the 100-meter. Obviously, some legit speed comes out of that state year in and year out. So I believe he was a 10.5 flat kid. And again, we put a premium on speed. We put a premium on length. He's shown good development in his craftsmanship as a wide receiver, and looking forward to getting him here to begin his process to learning our system and how he can be an impactful player. And then Josiah is obviously a well-rounded back that we feel like can do all things really, really well. Again, he's a guy that pound for pound in his high school program, which has developed some dudes over the years. He's set some strength records. He's moving some real weight. Again, he's got some real horsepower. He shows great change of direction on his tape. He's got some make-you-miss ability. And, again, is a man of great character, that we're excited to pour into.
Coach, can you talk about Carson Beal from La Jolla?
Yeah.
He was here in June, signs 3 days, makes the commitment 3 days later. Can you just talk about him and what do you see in him and what do you predict?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the best two-way player here locally, right? He played wide receiver, he played DB. We've got a chance to get a ton of live evals on him because La Jolla comes to our passing tournament each and every single year, right? So you get a chance to see him compete, right? Like, you get to have him in a competitive setting on your campus competing against some of the best teams, not just in Southern California, but we have schools that come over from, Vegas and Arizona to compete in that as well. And to see his competitive nature, his leadership traits, and then, again, his physical tools of his size, his length, it's really, really impressive. So excited, to keep him home, and we want to keep all of our hometown heroes home. And he was one that very early on we identified, going all the way back to last summer. The staff did a great job of pinpointing him. He really flashed, and being able to track on him and see his continued growth, his continued development, and still think he has a very, very high ceiling that we're going to get to pour into to help him become a difference maker for us.
Was it good seeing him come here instead of committing to Colorado State?
Hell yeah, absolutely. Is water wet? Yes, sir.
Can you talk about Brady Campbell, the late commitment?
Yeah, I mean, good quarterback, good developmental piece, adding some young depth into that room, and looking forward to pouring into him.
What do you look for in a quarterback in your recruiting? Like, what traits do you look for?
Yeah, I mean, leadership, competitiveness, ability to process, hand talent, mobility, and then again, a high ceiling. We want a guy that we can pour into, that we can develop. A lot of these guys, it seems like they come out of the womb and they got a private quarterback coach from the time that they can walk or crawl, and they're really, really good at playing drills, right? But then it's like when it actually comes to playing quarterback, right? Like, they get very robotic. So we want guys that are instinctual, that can process the game, and that are gym rats when they come to working at it, right? So it's a real position that we dive very, very deeply into the intangibles, the makeup, and obviously there's got to be a certain level of physical traits that are there as well. But that's one of the positions that you can just look at, again, whether it's draft picks or five-star prospects and all these things. Like, if the wiring's not right in between their ears, you're not going to be able to unlock the potential of all their physical talent.
Coach, you touched on the season earlier. I'll ask you further about it now. Have you taken, I know it's easy to kind of get wrapped up in the college football season. I know your guys isn't over yet. But have you taken a moment to kind of step back and just reflect on what this season has meant to you and the success that you've had?
No. I mean, we're still in the midst of it. I've taken some time, obviously, to be very proud of what we've done, but to zoom all the way out and, take a deep breath. Like, we're not there yet, right? There's still work to be done. And we need to get up off the mat. We need to dust ourselves off. We need to get back to work. We've given the boys some time this week, obviously, with the way that we finished with 6 in a row. That was pretty demanding as we went. So kind of getting off them a little bit from being on the field, but we'll figure out, what the next opportunity is on Sunday, and we're going to attack that to go get 10 wins. And then when that's all said and done, we'll go through Again, the autopsy, not good, not bad, not ugly, but just, the process of evaluating, right? And how can we do it better? And were we efficient? Where were some things that we did good? Where were some things that we did poor? We've started that process a little bit with having this time off this week and having some conversations with the guys, and just while it's fresh in their mind, what are some things that we did good and what are some things that we can improve upon, from their vantage point, to get their feedback, because the players know best. They're the ones that are living it. But to say, hey, I've taken a moment to soak it all in or to digest it all, no, I'm not there yet. There's still, again, work to be done.
Yeah, more work to be done. Obviously, your guys' bowl game, missing out on a conference championship can sometimes sink the team. But having a high-level bowl game in your guys' near future, how do you kind of keep the team pushing towards that?
Yeah, you said it, right? There's an opportunity to go play. There's an opportunity to go do it on a big-time stage. And, depending on where we end up or anywhere that we end up, I think there's going to be a marquee matchup that is going to excite our fan base and excite college football. We got one of the best defenses in the country with some of the best defensive players in the country. We got an exciting brand of football when it comes to special teams and what we do offensively and our ability to generate explosive plays. So there's an opportunity to go play. We got guys that love to go play, and there's an opportunity to go get 10 wins. Again, in the history of this proud program, there's not very many teams that got to 10, right? And so that's a big deal. We sat in here and we talked about kind of, hey, 6 to 7, you're a good team, right? 8 to 9, you're a great team. You get to double digits. That's an elite level that not many teams will get to year in and year out. So, we'd be really, really proud of that, to walk away with, hey, okay, we went +7 in the win-loss column from year 1 to year 2. So that gives us all the juice that we need to go play again.
J.D. Wicker on Twitter made a comment about your guys' season. What is his support? What has it meant to you during the season, but also now as you guys go for a bowl game?
Yeah, it's huge, right? You got to have alignment from the top down, right? From the university president to your athletic director to the vision that the head coach has, and that being a two-way street and being able to have open lines of communication and transparency, and we have that here. So yeah, having him in our corner and knowing that there's a commitment and a level of investment from the university to football specifically is critically important for the continued growth and success, because as good as this season was, the cost of winning is not going down, and we got to continue to compete at a really, really high level, and we need to double down on our investments. We need to double down our efforts to, level up as we go to the Pac-12, and that really excites me. And JD's excited to lock arms with that, and President De La Torre gets that as well, and that's why we're making the move that we are, and we're going there to dominate, not just participate. And I'm really excited about the opportunity that we have to do that. And again, every single opportunity that we go out, that we have, this bowl game is another opportunity to show how we're taking another step forward, because the climb never ends. We got to finish the climb this year for this team and this season, right? But then we're going to go forward and we're going to turn the page, and it's going to be 2026, and you start back at sea level and you go again, right? You set a new course and you got to reach a new summit, and that team's going to be uniquely different than this team. That's the beauty of what we get to do, and that's the beauty of what college football is right now. There is an aspect of program building, but these rosters are turning over in a hurry, and ours isn't going to be any different. That's just the nature of what it is. So how quickly can you reassemble as a team and get rocking and rolling again?
How's the signing class philosophy changed in recent years given the advent of the transfer portal?
Yeah, I still believe in, building it mostly through high school recruiting, right? But you're always looking to acquire the best talent that you can for your club, and wherever that comes from, right? Today it's the high school ranks, and we work very, very diligently at that as we move through the next 7 weeks here, 6.5 weeks, right? There's going to be an evaluation of the guys that are on our roster, and as we go forward, and there's going to be guys who go into the portal here starting on January 2nd, and you only have 85 scholarships, and you only have 105 roster spots, and you need to maximize each and every single one of those. So our guys know that. We're very transparent about it. And it's our job to, take care of the program, to take care of the university, and to assemble the best roster that can go win a Pac-12 championship. And that's what I intend on doing.
Are there certain positions that you'd rather kind of look for out of high school, like developing linemen or something, or does it?
It kind of depends on where the position groups are, right? Where the class distribution is, for some of our, take for example, corners. We turned the page, right? We had 2 of the best corners, in the conference. One was obviously the defensive player of the year, and Bryce is going to be in an NFL camp as well, and probably drafted also, right? And so to retain those guys this past year, right, there was a cost associated with that, and we had signed some high school kids, but now as they graduate and the way that guys are matriculating through our program, right, where we signed, one corner, and hopefully we can close on another one here by the end of the day. But we're going to have to go get some older guys as well, as the young guys continue to develop in our program. So it's really, you know, you would like to say, hey, philosophically, these positions, but it's really, again, imperfect humans that are evaluating imperfect humans, and where are they in their trajectory, and, you know, how are they developing within the program, and who's ready to go win a championship, and who can perform at that level consistently, versus where are there some holes that we got to go fill through the portal, right? But again, I still think the analogy of high school recruiting and what we did throughout the whole year and beyond today is going to be the core and the backbone of what your roster is. That's like the NFL draft, right? And then you utilize the portal as free agency to know, hey, where are the holes as we've round out the signing class, and we get a feel for what the stabilization of our roster and retention is going to be, as other people are still actively trying to steal away our really, really good players. So we need the community to help us finish the climb and make sure that we have the resources to retain our players, because they're not going to stay here for free. And then as we sort through all that, and as we get into January, you know, we'll continue to do the work. Like, the work that we're going to do over the next 6.5 weeks is going to determine the success that we have in 2026. Everyone thinks like, hey, the ball's done, and hey, let's assess the season. Like, no, like we're on to the next thing. You know, we're on to roster reconstruction right now, and it's an everyday thing that we need to do at an elite level.
What's the biggest challenge when you're out scouting and trying to project what somebody's going to do?
I think the biggest challenge is what they're going to act like and who they're going to be when they get away from home. Like, they're humans, right? Like, take all the physical skill set, take away the, you know, mental aptitude, competitive nature, all those things. Like, when you take them away from mommy and daddy, how are they going to react? What level of adversity have they had in their life? Because now when they go into a locker room that's full of all everythings, right? Like, every single guy that's in our locker room is either all CIF, all state, all conference, all American. Like, so you're one of the alls that is an all. So, like, you're used to being the alpha dog in your locker room, and you've always been that, and you've been this, you know, big fish in a small pond relative. Well, now you get in that competitive environment, and you get some real adversity in a space that you've always dominated. Like, how are you going to respond? And how are you going to manage your time? And how are you going to move and shake and not be distracted, but yet stay focused on your purposeful intent of why you're here, to get your degree, to grow as a young man, and become the best player and version of yourself that you can be?
How do you test what it's like to be away from mommy and dad?
Yeah, you get them away from mommy and daddy while they're here on the visit, and then you get a feel for what mommy and daddy value. And I shouldn't just say mom and dad, but the people who raised them, right? Like, if core beliefs of the family are similar, they don't need to be identical with the core beliefs of your program, well, then there's going to be some good consistency of how they're going to move and shake, you know, when they get to campus. But if there's different priorities that don't align with who we are culturally, then you got to have the courage, as good as a player as they are, to walk away and know that's not going to be a cultural fit, and know that you're probably going to have to deal with them one day out of the year, but you'd rather do that than have to deal with them 365 days out of the year and it not be a good fit for your culture and for your locker room.
You mentioned potential of a 10-win season on top of the move to the Pac-12. What's then the significance of, on top of that, a successful recruiting class, and what that could signal to the outside world?
And I think it's that our process works, right? And that if you're on the fence about if you should support this club and support this program, like, stop wavering, come on board, buy tickets, help us finish the climb, and help support, you know, these great young men, because we're San Diego's team, right? And so everything about our university, from the research that we're doing, the work that's being done within the community by our young men and, you know, our students, and then what we're doing here in the football space in between the white lines is all ascending, right? And so what a time to be an Aztec, what a time to be here, what a time to lock arms with us and to join us in this climb, so that we can go to new heights. Because again, like, it's like, if we think what we did this year is going to be enough to continue to elevate, like, it's not. Our peers are leveling up, and we need to continue to level up, and we have to roll up our sleeves and be competitive together in all spaces. And man, that excites me. I hope it excites our community. I mean, shoot, I hope our community was looking at that game, you know, on Black Friday, and realized and saw the impact and effect of 30,000 fans down there in Albuquerque had on that game. Like, what would Snapdragon look like if every single weekend we had 30,000 fans there that were dying to cheer for the Aztecs, and as passionate and enthused that when we won a big-ass game that they rushed the field? Like, how damn cool would that be? Like, let's create that. So come on, get on board. What else are we waiting for?
How exciting is the vision of going to the Mountain West Conference, the new look Mountain West, with everybody you know?
The Pac-12?
And you're coming off a phenomenal season.
Going to the Pac-12?
Yes.
Yeah, going to the Pac-12 is going to be awesome, right? Like, all the teams that are going there are the top tier of the league. Excited about that opportunity, excited to compete, excited to, you know, again, create something new. It's been really exciting, like, when we get together as head coaches and the administrators get together and the presidents get together as we reshape a really, really strong league, right? Like, how we get to create and cultivate it and make it our own. And so it's neat how, obviously, everyone has tremendous pride in their programs and their universities, right? But as we lock arms as head coaches and ADs and presidents to do something special as we go to the Pac-12, like, it's really neat to be at the epicenter of that and to create something new.
And the fact that the CP playoff is available next year, if you're the team that finishes first, how exciting is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been available to us, right? And it was available to us this year, and we stumbled, right? But there's a clear path that as there's 12 teams and it's been expanded, and as talk of continued expansion happens, right? Like, yeah, it's great to be at a place where you know that there's a path to where you can go compete for national championships and be a part of the CFP. That's awesome.
Do you have any hunch at what Sunday could bring?
I don't. Another opportunity. I don't. I'm excited to see what it is. You know, kind of learning a little bit more about the pecking order of how teams get selected. And, you know, it's my understanding, I think that Hawaii will probably play in the Hawaii Bowl and that New Mexico will play in the New Mexico Bowl, and that the LA Bowl typically and traditionally takes the winner of the championship game. But beyond that, like, there's a lot of great teams from our league that are eligible. And, you know, I trust that there's going to be a pretty fun matchup that we're going to get to partake in. And I'm really excited for our guys to figure out what that is, because the majority of our team hasn't been to a bowl game, right? So I'm excited to take them through that phase, right, and of postseason play, and teach them how to, you know, work really, really hard, but then go to a new place that probably a lot of our guys haven't been, and, you know, balance a little bit of fun with the work that needs to get done, and have it be, you know, part reward, yet business trip, right? But again, like, it's a really cool time that these guys have earned and created more time together, right? We talk a lot about time and how precious it is and what a finite resource it is, and how cool is it for this special group of guys to have created more time, that when we first got together and training camp started, like, you know, we wouldn't know if we were sitting here talking about how we have another opportunity, how we have a 13th opportunity to play. So selfishly, that's really exciting for me, just more time around this special group of guys, because then once that game is done, like, I've done this enough time, you call them up one last time in that postseason or post-game locker room after the last opportunity, and that group of individuals that had such a special season, like, you break it down one last time on family, and then, like, guys clean out their lockers, and guys start their lives, and guys go to the NFL, and guys go pro in something other than sport. And, you know, it's like, then you randomly get a text from one of your former players talking about, hey, coach, I'm getting married in April, and I hope that you can make it. And, you know, maybe, like, I'm really excited. Like, that's awesome that dude's getting married. That's great. I'm glad he found the love of his life, right? But, like, I'm kind of excited. Hopefully that works with my calendar to go be back around some of those guys. But it ain't going to be the whole team that I got to coach, you know, 6 years ago. So just having more time around these guys is really special.
John, is it tough to counterbalance 9-3 and the turnaround success versus getting punched in the gut and losing to New Mexico and snubbed by the conference? How do you do that?
I don't know. I'm still processing through all that. So, yeah, it's tough. But again, that goes to, have you had enough time in distance to reflect and zoom out? Like, I haven't had enough time to process it, so I don't have a real good answer for you. Just trying to do the best I can. And for me, that's, you know, doing the next thing the right way. So luckily there was a great class to put together and, you know, refine this class, and still work to be done with that as we go. But I've always enjoyed the work. I've always enjoyed, and it's always helped me process to, again, get off the mat, dust off, recalibrate, head back down range. Like, you got to get up and you got to go, and you got to go back to work, you know? So, like, I struggled with, like, should we practice this week? Should we not? You know, like I want to go back out on the field. And luckily I got a great staff, and they're like, hey, coach, like, the boys need a little time, like, relax. And I'm like, come on, like, let's relax, take it easy, you know? So.
Does 3-9 make you a better coach? You learn from adversity yourself in terms of structure, what you do, what you should not have done?
I think every experience hopefully makes me a better coach. I hope that every experience that all of our guys have and that we have as humans makes us a better person, quite frankly. Like, otherwise we're just aimlessly wandering through life, right? Like, so I hope the successes I can look back and reflect upon and say, all right, hey, that was successful because of X, Y, Z, so that we can replicate that process, right? And I hope the shortcomings I can look back upon as well, and, you know, be proud of those scars someday, right? Like, the wound's still fresh from New Mexico, and tip of the cap to Coach Eck and his staff and the year that they had, man. That was tremendous, right? But, like, man, I look at that tape, and there's a lot of things that we can control, you know. And again, like, great win by them, great job by them. But I mean, there's a half dozen plays that if we align properly, if we communicate better, if I take a time out to save us and do my job better, like, damn, right? Like, what's that look like? You know, so as that thing scars over, like, I'll carry that scar with pride, the way that I carry all my scars with pride, you know?
You talked about you processing it. What about the locker room itself as a whole? Do you think that the guys in that locker room have kind of gone through and they're working it through on their own timeline?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're probably all in a different place, in a different space a little bit, right? I don't think you ever get over that. At least I hope you don't, right? Like, I hope you learn from it, and I hope, you know, you don't forget it. But I mean, like, we got back together on Monday. You know, we had something scheduled on Sunday, and obviously the news came down, and so, hey, just position coaches did a great job, and, you know, I sent a message out to the whole team and touched base with some guys, like, that obviously, you know, we don't have an opportunity this week, right? So we'll circle up tomorrow morning, right? And so we got together on Monday, and, like, that was a fine line, right? Knowing that everyone's still very emotional, but you kind of got to speak factually, right? Like any relationship, right? Like, if I'm worked up and I'm emotional and my wife's trying to talk to me very factually, I'm like, I can't apply logic right now, right? Like, I don't want to apply logic, and vice versa, right? Like, you got to be able to, you know, if you want to have an emotional conversation, because we're emotional, we can do that, right? But, like, just helping the guys, again, process it, move through it, and here's what we do know, here's what we can control, and not be the victims for any reason, because that's a big piece of who we are, right? We're not going to blame, complain, or defend our bad behavior. Like, we put ourselves in that spot. If we didn't want to be in that spot, we didn't want to be in this spot, we should have played better, we should have prepared better, point blank period, right? So, yeah, we're all in a different place with it right now. But again, I think the opportunity to play again needs to sharpen our focus. It needs to, you know, be fuel to the fire, and can't wait to find out who the next opponent is, when it is. Because again, I think we're all just a little bit better with some purpose and some intent and knowing what that next thing is, right? Like, the unknown a little bit right now is, you know, not helping us move forward because we're kind of stuck in place. So, you know, we're still working through it.
The tie-breaking process, how does that sit with you? Your understanding with that, obviously kind of an unorthodox way of, to a degree, deciding, you know, who gets to play one more.
The only thing I know about that is that we shouldn't have put ourselves in that spot. Nothing else matters. There's no right or wrong way to decide a four-way tie. So you don't want to put yourself in a four-way tie? Figure out a way to win. Coach better. Like, so I don't have an opinion about the process. The process is what the process is. Should have played better so that we're not in that spot.
Sean, can I ask you about two players?
Sure.
The redshirt freshman quarterback, J.P. Milowski.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what this learning curve season's been for him?
Yeah, he's done a great job. You know, as our scout team quarterback, him and Crum and Dre have done a good job in that role. So these bowl practices will be critically important for him, and we'll have a better idea of where he's at and how that growth curve has played out.
And how severe was the injury to Napier? Is it ligament? Is it meniscus? Is it dislocation?
Yeah, I mean, that's his business, right? Like, I'm not going to get into all that. Severe enough that he didn't play the rest of the year, right? So I'm not going to get into the specifics of what it is. That's not fair to him.
Will he be able to play next year?
Yeah, next year, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
You have a favorite bowl memory?
I got a smoothie bath in the tropical smoothie bowl. That was fun. That was cool. Yeah, that was neat. You know, I wasn't the Gatorade I was expecting. The Cal smoothie dump was unexpected and quite chilly, so didn't come out of the beard real easily. Yeah, we had a nice win against Auburn when they were loaded and sent Coach Alvarez out the right way. Yeah, that was fun.
Who was on that Auburn team?
Who was on that Auburn team? That was when it was Cadillac Brown, I believe. Cadillac Williams, excuse me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That one, and we beat Arkansas as well when it was Darren McFadden, Peyton Hillis. You know, like, that was a fun Big Ten, SEC. Who's better? Like, even back then, the Big Ten was better. Still is today. Check the records.
I'll ask. There's always discussions about the playoff whenever the playoff rolls around. Second year of the 12 team, there's been thoughts about expansion. Do you
Sure.
have any expansion which could benefit Group of 5 or teams outside the Power 4, maybe another slot? Do you have any feelings? You spend any time thinking about the possibilities, where it's at now, where it could go?
There's a path for us to get there now. I don't spend a whole lot of time about that and talking about that. Again, like there's a path for us to get there now, so we'll obsess about what we can do to get there, and if it expands, cool. If not, all right, whatever.
If you just look at it as a fan, what do you think there's a certain best number?
You got to quantify what best is.
Well, one thing is, it'd be cool if every conference got a representative.
Is every conference worthy of a representative? Like, can we get past the point of just like giving out participation because you're a part of it, like you get to get in it? Like,
But maybe if each one gets representation, that helps those conferences maybe be better, rather than just locking them out.
if we're truly trying to decide the national champion in any sport, the best teams, regardless of conference, regardless of where they're coming from, it should be the best teams. It should be the top teams that get entry into the tournament, whatever that tournament is, playoff format. Like, if we're truly working to determine the best, then let's have the best play the best. Let's find some sort of structure to where everyone's conference is the same size. That'd be neat. Let's make sure that everyone's playing the same number of conference games, and create, again, some stability in particularly our sport right now that has a whole lot of instability.
March Madness works pretty well with more representation.
It's also a completely different sport.
Like we should have a 64-team tournament.
Coach Leach had a lot of cool ideas. I regret that me and Coach Leach maybe couldn't have a conversation about like Santa and his reindeers and thought what he thought about Blitzen compared to Rudolph and Donner, which one was his favorites. That's one of my. I wish I could have spent a little bit more time with Coach Leach.
So where's that line for the best teams? Is it 12? Is it 24? Is it?
Before we get into that debate, I would love to have the conversation about the calendar as a whole and how we can shift the season. And I think Coach Joey McGuire had a great point to where let's slide this whole thing up and start sooner so that our sport is in the first semester of the academic calendar so that we can finish our national championship, on or near the first, so that then the portal could open on the second. Like, to me, there's a way that we can structure the calendar that is more of a priority than the number of teams that are playing and competing for the national championship, so that there's some continuity, whether you're on semesters or trimesters, and when coaches have to make decisions about where they're going to be coaching, so that kids can make decisions about where they're going to go play, and it doesn't impact and affect all the hard work that teams and players and coaches have done. If we could create some stability to that, that'd be pretty cool.
Anything else for Coach?
The new Pac-12 champion will have a guaranteed slot, correct?
I have no idea.
In your this new conference?
I think so. Whole lot of guarantees right now. I'm very careful about saying always and never and guarantee anything. I believe we do. I believe we do. I believe the quality of the league should put us in a position that in 2026, the winner of the league will be represented in the CFP. That's what I believe. It doesn't make it right, but that's what I believe.